Aboard the Viltrumite warship, Thrag stood before Lucan, Anissa, and Craig, his expression one of cold fury. His piercing gaze moved from one soldier to the next, his disappointment evident. Their actions, he declared, were nothing short of unacceptable. The mission had been clear. Procreation with humans was not merely encouraged, but necessary for the survival and resurgence of the Viltrumite Empire. And yet, each of them had failed him in their own way. Thrag's voice was measured but laced with disdain as he addressed their shortcomings. Anissa had outright refused to mate with humans, a defiance he found intolerable. Craig, by involving himself in Earth's affairs, had jeopardized their presence and risked exposing them before the time was right. And Lucan, his greatest disappointment, had limited himself to a single mate, failing to maximize his reproductive potential. Anissa met his gaze without flinching. She argued that she had never agreed to bear multiple children. She reminded him that, unlike men, she could only conceive one child at a time, making her contribution no less significant than theirs. Craig, on the other hand, admitted his love for his human mates, insisting that his attachment did not diminish his commitment to the mission. If anything, it strengthened it, for he would ensure the survival of his offspring. Lucan, however, took a more emotional stance, revealing that his mate had been betrayed in the past. He refused to dishonor her by being unfaithful, a sentiment that only deepened Thrag's disgust. Thrag scoffed at their excuses, reminding them that humans were mere cattle, useful only in their role as breeders to bolster Viltrumite dominance. Anissa, sensing the rising tension, quickly aligned herself with his views, but Lucan was unmoved. He dared to suggest that living among humans had softened him, just as it had Nolan. Craig echoed the sentiment, acknowledging that Earth had changed them. Thrag's patience snapped. He dismissed them with a sharp command, his eyes narrowing at Craig. Their conversation was far from over. Meanwhile, on Earth, Mark reeled from the news. Eve was pregnant. The revelation left him speechless, but he quickly reassured her that he would support whatever choice she made. Eve, however, was resolute. She refused to go through another termination. This time, she would keep the baby. Relief and apprehension mixed in Mark's chest as he absorbed the reality of impending fatherhood. As they returned home, Eve urged him to keep the news private, at least for now. Stepping into the house, they were greeted by an unexpected sight. Nolan and Debbie locked in an affectionate embrace. Mark turned away in mild disgust, but Nolan, noticing his reaction, casually suggested that Eve restore the damaged furniture. With a simple gesture, she transmuted the wreckage into its original form, restoring order to their home. Elsewhere, the cleanup efforts following the disaster were in full swing. Immortal had returned to active duty, lending his strength to Rex and the Guardians of the Globe. Rex acknowledged his presence and directed him to assist Best Tiger and Pegasus, leaving Kaboomerang and Yeti to manage another sector. As Mark and Eve arrived to help, Rex's demeanor hardened. To him, Mark should either be dead or imprisoned for his recent actions. Without hesitation, Rex unleashed his larger drones to attack Mark, demanding an explanation for his return. The rest of the Guardians, taking their leader's cue, prepared for battle. Before the fight could escalate, Cecil materialized via teleportation, his voice cutting through the tension. He ordered Rex to stand down. Enraged, Rex demanded to know why Mark was being spared. But Cecil had already made his decision. As he and Mark departed for the Pentagon, Zandale attempted to soothe Rex's fury, reminding him that Mark was trying to atone for his past. Still seething, Rex could only watch as Mark vanished from sight. Deep within the Global Defense Agency headquarters, Mark and Cecil continued their discussion. Cecil assured him that he would handle Rex in due time. Mark, in turn, revealed that Nolan had returned to Earth. He then confided something more personal, Eve's pregnancy. Cecil, never one to let sentiment interfere with pragmatism, assured him that resources would be made available to support them. Then, with a grim expression, Cecil revealed something unexpected. Dinosaurus' corpse lay before them, the remains still fresh. Suspicious, Mark examined the body and saw a mark on its spine, his own thumbprint. He had left it there to ensure that no deception was at play, remembering how Cecil had once faked Conquest's death. To Cecil's surprise, Mark revealed that he had killed Conquest himself during the Viltrumite War. Back at the Grayson home, Eve grew anxious. Mark had mentioned Cecil calling someone named Sherry. When she finally arrived, Eve was immediately skeptical. Mark explained that Sherry was a specialist in caring for children of superhuman parents, but Eve remained wary. Sherry had been sent by the very government that once tried to control her. Sherry, however, clarified that she was merely an independent contractor. She had even assisted Kate in delivering her twins. With cautious trust, Eve allowed Sherry to examine her. Using her enhanced vision, Sherry confirmed that the fetus was healthy, but also issued a warning. Eve's powers consumed vast amounts of calories, pulling from her body's reserves. Worse yet, her transmutation abilities relied on the physical matter she consumed, affecting her digestion. Eve's concern deepened. Could she still use her abilities? Sherry advised against it. Using her powers could deplete essential nutrients, posing a risk to the baby's development. Reluctantly, Eve agreed to limit her abilities. Meanwhile, Cecil sought out Nolan and Debbie, addressing the issue of Nolan's presence on Earth. Though he acknowledged that Nolan was no longer the same man who had once sought to conquer the planet, he could not ignore the past. The decision was final. Exile. Debbie protested, but Cecil was firm. Nolan could not remain on Earth, not after such a public betrayal. Instead, he would be stationed at the Guardians of the Globe's moon base. With little choice, Nolan accepted his fate. He and Debbie embraced, uncertain of when they would see each other again. But unbeknownst to them, they were being watched. From the vast emptiness of space, Thrag observed in silence, his eyes locked onto the base with an intensity that promised something far more sinister. And that's the story, folks. Please, leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this one. See you next time.